How's it going, all you mentees? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for my overview of a couple of Sean Phillips books from Dynamite. So, stay tuned. Alright, before going any further, I do want to thank the folks at Dynamite for sending us copies of these hardcovers. So yeah, both of these are hardcover collection, but they are different sizes. As a matter of fact, like this right here, The Art of Sean Phillips, is huge compared to this book right here, The Heart of the Beast. This is a standard size hardcover, meaning that, actually, let's do a little size comparison. I stand corrected. It's actually bigger than your standard size trade paperback. So it is a bigger book than, actually, let me do a quick comparison to a standard size hardcover. So here, for example, is a standard size hardcover from DC. And you can tell it is bigger than that. So I'm not quite sure if it's a deluxe edition. So let's compare it to the size of a omnibus. And it looks to be the size of an omnibus. So it is a deluxe edition. I stand corrected. So yes, this is a Marvel Omnibus, and here they are together. And as you can tell, it is, I'm sure maybe not from that angle, but from this angle right here, you can tell it's as long as an omnibus. So it is as tall and as long as an omnibus, meaning that it is a deluxe edition. So let's put the focus back on these books. Let's talk about the build of them. So both of them have art on board, and they don't have a dust jacket. They do have a flat spine. So as you could probably tell whenever I was doing the spine comparison, that they do have a flat spine, but they do have sewn binding. And both of them printed on this thick, glossy paper. So let's talk about The Heart of the Beast, and then we will look at this art book. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this opened. This one here has a mature rating on it, by the way. The really interesting thing about this book is this is one that I've never heard of. This is The Heart of the Beast. It is written by Dean Motter and Judith Dupree, as well as having artwork from Sean Phillips. This is one of his earlier things that he was doing. As a matter of fact, this kind of felt like this led into some of the team-ups between him and Ed Brubaker, and I'll explain a little bit why here in a second. So the original editor was Karen Berger. So this was originally published at DC Comics in their Vertigo line, and this was celebrating the 20th anniversary of this book. So this came out in the early 90s, and for some reason, yeah, this is one that I just never heard of. This book right here retails for $24.99. Again, it is a deluxe edition, and it has 112 pages. As I mentioned earlier, it is printed in this really thick, glossy paper. So, being that it's a reprint of an early 90s story, this takes place also in the 80s. Here's an introduction by one of the co-writers. This is by Judith Dupree, talking about the way New York City was in the late 80s or the mid 80s with the art movement, like independent artists, and then the dark side of the art movement. So the basic story about this is about this character named Sandra, who's your waitress. She's a bartender, and she wants to become an artist. She ends up meeting this guy named Victor, and Victor has a secret. But they hit it off. They hit it off really well. So they both meet, and they both want to start dating. And he has a really weird secret. And there's always something off about him. And she knows that there's something off about him. And he works for a plastic surgeon, and he's getting calls late at night. And he also works for a bunch of artists, like a bunch of art forgers. And she knows something's going on when he disappears, and she doesn't know exactly what. Here, we'll cut a little bit through here so you can check out some of the artwork, because this does go into a really dark territory, that it kind of has a lot of things to do with the obnoxious and dark side of the art world. And even though Victor seems like a nice guy, when the truth comes out, when things are found out about him, yeah, it gets into some weird territory. And I don't want to spoil what it is in case you've never read it. It is interesting to look at Sean Phillips artwork here. Well, one of the things I noticed was right away the cover kind of gave me a Milo Manara feel to it. But this is the cover from 2014. This is the updated cover with his newer style. This right here, he was still trying to develop his style. You can see some of the roughs around the edges. And what's interesting is that this also has a mix of like photographs and journal entries talking about this book. Now, I, without going too far into any kind of spoiler territory, I will say if you read the journal entries and you kind of uh, read a little more into what Victor says throughout the book, you can figure out exactly what's going on. Like it's the clues are all laid out there. This almost has like a David Mack feel to it in the way that the panels are laid out. Especially maybe more so it's the colors that remind me of it. Now, there are some panels that are homages to classical paintings. Uh, One of the most popular panels is the last panel, that it's a huge homage. So I strongly suggest do not read the introduction because it kind of spoils a little bit of where this is going. Read the book first, then go back to read the introduction. Let's look in the back here. There's a couple of things I skipped because it's kind of what inspired the book. But there's a couple articles here, some sketches. There is an interview with the creators, the layout of how the panel should look, and skipping a couple more pages because it kind of gives away what the story is. Again, this book has 112 pages and retails for $24.99, and it's one of the earliest works by Sean Phillips. And now we're looking at this big, beautiful book. This is The Art of Sean Phillips. And this is a limited number. Oh, that's awesome. Signed by Sean Phillips and Eddie Robson. Limited edition. But this is available everywhere. This isn't, mine just happened to be a limited edition as a copy that they decided to send me. So this is just artwork throughout the years of Sean Phillips. And here's your table of contents. So you go from the introduction here to, I had no idea he was doing stuff at 2000 AD, Vertigo, Batman, Star Wars, Scene of the Crime, which I think is their first work together, Ed Brubaker, first indie work together outside of like work like Batman. Yeah, Gotham Noir, Marvel Zombies, and Fatale. There's X-Men in here. All right. Introduction by Ed Brubaker. I swear those two are inseparable these days. Talking about how he ended up meeting Sean, how they always wanted to get work in the comics, and how their lives came to be. And then there's early stuff in here from Sean Phillips that if you're looking at it, you're like, oh my gosh, this doesn't feel anything like him. But as the more you keep looking through here, the more it starts feeling more and more like Sean Phillips' artwork. Just beautifully crafted page. Oh my gosh, Judge Dredd, that's awesome. I haven't flipped through the entire thing. I had no idea he did Judge Dredd. That's really cool. But there's different sections, right? And it goes in chronological order from his years at 2000 AD to his years at DC to his independent stuff. And then back at 2008. Is that a Sorry, that doesn't look like him. There's Rogue Troopers, so it's not just Judge Dredd. Warning the Magician. With articles that, of course, go with each of the pages. This is stuff from Hellblazer, the internal artwork, the covers. Some classic covers right there. Difficult Beginnings. I think that was the first time I saw some of his artwork. Comics Journal stuff, and there it is. Scene of the Crime. It's a quick read. If you haven't picked this up, I definitely recommend it. And there's the stuff with X-Men. His X-Men era, which didn't really last that long. That's codename X-Men. Some stuff over at Wildstorm Comics. And then, of course, that led to his work on Sleeper. And here is Stacy X. Sean Phillips. I don't know why he's notorious for that cover, but that is the cover of Stacy X. And speaking of Sleeper, there we go. Piece right there, Spider-Man. This is really cool. I'm glad that they included everything. Sometimes I worry about like art books when they just focus on just Marvel artwork or independent stuff. And of course, some of it being for legal reasons, they can't print everything. This is the stuff from Marvel Zombies. Firefly. I remember that cover. I had all 9 of the covers. All 9 covers. And there's cover for another Firefly comic. Criminal. And then That's All She Wrote. When it was printed over at Icon, which was a Marvel imprint. No dice. Yeah. So he's very notorious for using live or actors that from the past for characters in his books. I love that they're doing that. Or sometimes it's an amalgam of actors and actresses. And most of the time it's set in the past. It's Incognito? Yeah, that's what I thought. Which is a story I wish they'd go back and finish out. Predator, that's awesome. So there's internal artwork in here, covers, pinup. Man, there's all kinds of things in this particular collection. This is really cool. And I kind of want to see him do more fantasy stuff too, because that looks so badass. I like the color tones they're using too. Walking Dead. I skipped a little bit. So we didn't go through everything. I promise there's a bunch of stuff in here. Fatale. And then a little bibliography. Holy crap, which he's done a lot. And it looks like it's in chronological order in the way that they're shown throughout this book. So this book retails for $39.99. There's acknowledgments back here. And it has 312 pages. Again, it is a hardcover with sewn binding. But that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing these books, don't forget to check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code Near Mint Condition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of these particular collections. Let me know in the comments down below if Sean Phillips is one of your favorite artists, if you usually enjoy things by him when he's with Brubaker, or if you've enjoyed standalone things when he's by himself working on his own stuff, or X-Men. But anyway, I would love to know all those comments down below. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. Everyone, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.